Hey everybody, I'm back. I know it's been a little while. I'm pretty sure many of you who've been following my Twitter and other online areas of communication know that I've been working on a book called The Dictionary of Demons, and the deadline for that kind of kicked my butt. And as soon as I got the darn thing in, then I got really, really sick. If anybody caught the AGH chat, the live chat with me back in January, you caught me with that chat at the very tail end of being horrifically sick, and I talked until I was hoarse. I've been waiting to record more of these until I actually had my voice back. So it's been too long. I've been soliciting a lot of questions from people on Twitter, LiveJournal, and MySpace. And from a lot of the feedback that I've gotten, the first thing that I probably want to talk about here is shielding. Shielding is a concept that you will hear on a number of television shows, in many books about psychic and paranormal phenomenon. You encounter it in the pagan and Wiccan subculture as well. It is, at its most basic, the ability to erect a non-physical barrier between yourself and the things in the outside world that you do not want infringing upon your own mental, emotional, and personal space. Now, shields are often described as a bubble of white light that you surround yourself with, that you surround yourself with this protective bubble. White light is ordinarily used because it is the most widespread, politically correct image that many people will tap into. But it doesn't have to be white. It doesn't even have to be light. The important thing about shields is that you are using a focus, an image in your mind to guide yourself to construct something out of energy. It is powered by your belief, your will, and your intent. It is important not that you imagine it in the right color or the right shape. It's important that you imagine it in the way that appeals most powerfully to you. So you can have a bubble of blue light, you can have a sphere of fire that surrounds you on all sides. The most important thing about shields that you want to keep in mind is they are a barrier. They are the thing that stands between you and the outside world, and the things that you do not want to allow in to affect you, to impact you, to influence you. Shielding is something that's important, especially for people who identify as empaths. Those are a particular type of psychic who are tuned to emotional energy. It's the easiest type of psychic ability to mistake for mental illness, really, quite frankly, where you go into large crowds and you suddenly feel overwhelmed by the emotions of everybody around you. Whenever you're around people, your emotions move from state to state without any real internal change. It's you are taking in the emotions of everybody that you come into contact with. It can get very confusing. It's important for empaths and other psychics who are so sensitive that they get overwhelmed by their perceptions. It's very important for people like that to learn how to shield in order to turn off the input, or at least to tone it down, so that they can get a better sense of where they are and where they end, and where the outside world and how it's acting upon them begins. So shields are about boundaries, creating, establishing, and maintaining boundaries. The images and the symbols that you use to power your shields are personal, intimately personal. There is no right or wrong image to use. What I recommend first is to use a standard image, which is a sphere of white light or a bubble of force around you, and then experiment with things that are going to personalize that image for you. Find the things that work best for you, but work with the tried and true stuff just to get the hang of it. If you are in a situation or a place, say you're doing a ghost haunting investigation, you walk into a room in a house and there's just something horrible and overwhelming about the feel of that room. It's giving you a headache, it's making you feel nauseous, your head's spinning, and you just feel all discombobulated. First thing you do, remove yourself from the room. Ideally, you probably want to remove yourself from that house, go outside, step out in the yard where you are no longer in that energy or that space at all. Take a few moments to yourself. Ground the sensations out. We'll cover that in another one, but the basic concept of that is to let it flow out of you. Imagine your feet on the ground and have all of the energy, all the sensations, everything that you want to let go. Push that down through your feet into the ground. Let it flow out of you until you feel calm, balanced, and centered again. Once you are in that calm, balanced, and centered state, you want to focus inward and kind of pull a sense of glowing light under your rib cage or at your heart, at your very center, and focus on that for a few moments. The very act of focusing on it will help you feel more centered, and then expand that, and expand it to about no more than an arm's length, no more than an arm's length from yourself, and have that covering you on all sides, from top to bottom, from left to right. When you are encompassed on all sides from your shield, and you are holding the anchor of it in the center of yourself, take a few moments to just enjoy the silence, to reacquaint yourself with how you feel right in that moment with these other external influences blocked out. And then, once you have that balance, once you have that sense of self and the sense of the boundary keeping everything else out, then you're ready to go back into the situation, and you can dial it up or dial it down. If your job is, as the sensitive, as the person who's supposed to read things in that environment, you do not want to maintain the shield as an aggressive and absolutely impenetrable barrier, because it's going to block out all of your sensations. One of the tricks, as you learn to work with this technique, is to learn how to dial it up and dial it down. There will be situations where you want hard shields that will keep everything out. Very negative things, things that make you sick, where you are really feeling overwhelmed, if you feel that you're under attack. This is when you want to have a very strong, very impenetrable, very solid shield. But you don't want to walk around on your day-to-day life with a shield like that all the time. It would be like walking around literally in a bubble, and cutting yourself off from everything around you. One of the other things to remember is an interaction between you and the energy around you is fundamental to all of us, psychic or not. So the basic thing to remember about shields is they are about boundaries. You power them through image and belief, and it doesn't matter what shape or color as long as it is relevant to you.